All right. I think I should be or should be live or should be going live any second now. Yeah, hi everyone to my second live stream. It was so fun yesterday that I actually thought, hey, why not do a second round the day after? Still not like familiar at all with the entire thing regarding like comments and stuff. Again, not suggesting or not counting on anyone actually watching live, which is totally fine. Let me just find my, where's this even? This one is the current live stream, right? So if I click on that, it's not where I actually want to go. I think I need to regarding like probably here that I see the comments. So again, sorry for that. Complete noob in the live streaming game. Let me just rearrange some stuff. So I think this one we can, but there was a different view. Probably this one I'm looking at. Yeah. So there's a top chat. There's a chat as well, which is in my studio. The other one was just looking at plain my channel basically in YouTube. All right. Cool. So what do I want to do? So I'm currently in the middle of bringing together three components basically. Andrej Karpathy wrote about vibe coding, and it's quite a fitting term, I think. I want to combine this with something I'm doing or I have been doing for a while now, which is trying to leverage prompt templates to kind of make my interaction with the coding agent. I decided to call it agents nonetheless, after all, because I mean it's what everyone's calling it, right? If you go into, for example, Cursor, you see that it's called agent. I'm not sure if the zooming in actually materializes on the stream, but so let's call them agent. Let's call them coding agents and be done with it, right? So I'm trying to leverage prompt templates for my interactions with my coding agents. Maybe let's bring Notion in here. So what I mean by that is basically stuff like that, right? Stuff in my little prompt template scratchpad where I try to kind of synthesize what types of coding interactions I typically have with my coding agents. And it starts off with an initial prompt, obviously, like all of the time. Then there's something in that initial prompt, we always get to a game plan. And then it's actually basically from there, it's just follow the game plan. So it's a proceed with next stage prompt. Need to clean this up a little to kind of remove the history. Oh, I forgot. I want to have some music in there with me. I checked the Ecamm settings and the music should be fine volume wise. If it's not, then please reach out. I try to keep an eye on the chat so that it's not as loud and disturbing as it was yesterday. So then there are a couple of other ones, right? I'm not gonna go through them one by one now to not completely repeat myself compared to yesterday. But this is what I mean with prompt templates. And maybe let's just do a screenshot here because I just like to lay out things on Miro. And I'm having trouble with my shortcuts for just capturing the active window, so I need to do it manually when I screenshot. Has to do with Pencil. Quite a cool tool, but it kind of adds virtual cameras somehow, or virtual stuff. So, which kind of destroys the shortcuts that work for clean shot. What is it? Clean shot X, the tool I'm using. So just for the sake of completeness here, let's actually copy the URL here as well, because I want to make this open to everyone, the mirror board that is. So it's now available here, right? Same goes for the Andrej Karpathy post on X. That's why I called it Janko What the Hub, because I couldn't think of a better name in 2 minutes before the stream. So I will put this into, let's see, you got access, you can comment, copy the board link. I will actually try to put this into the description. Let's see. So let's go back to the stream after all in my edit. So let's do the mirror board. I'll put the mirror board in here. Come on. So there you have it. If you want to follow along, if you want to maybe not follow along in real time, but come back to it later, there you have it. And the third component is combining vibe coding and prompt templating with MCP servers, which is this very cool protocol, basically, kind of like a standard, protocol, which entails the fact that it's being a standard or wants to be a standard. I hope it will be a standard. It's a quite cool initiative that Anthropic actually put out there. I'm not even sure if that's the completely official website for it. Let's see. Anthropic MCP. Well, I'm not sure. I just put the blog post in here. Maybe as the first thing actually here, and when we talk about MCP stuff, I'm kind of pedantic with scaling and stuff, and things being somewhat tidy. At least in the digital space, I tend to be much tidier and in real life sometimes. And sometimes it feels that way. So, and everything basically is under this main umbrella. Maybe let's put it in here. That's tongue-in-cheek, obviously. I'm a big fan of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and so I thought it would be fun to come up with my own Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, to the Gen AI coding galaxy to be precise. And I actually, yesterday, I thought about changing the name of my MCP server from MCP test server to something, something more fitting. And I thought, hey, hitchhike, hitch code. It's kind of, I don't know, it just struck a chord with me. And so I think I did call my MCP server already hitch code. And I might turn this Hitchhiker's Guide to the Hitchcoder's Guide. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I will actually, since I'm a really visual person, let's just put something. I forgot to actually download this here. So let's put this in the assets with. I'm generating a picture or cover for prompt templating with Leonardo AI. Seems to work quite well for me for image generation. I want to check out Replicate and all the other stuff, but I can use Flux in Leonardo, which is cool. So let's prompt template 001. actually go there and put it into Miro. Right, let's do the same thing while we add it, so we have a little visual fun with vibe coding as well. This is my prompt. It's not the best prompt in the world, but it seems to work quite well for me. I'm using Flux Dev, and the settings that got the best results for me was either creative or portrait, cinematic, or ray traced or stock photo. So I'm just gonna keep it with the creative setting, because this is not going to be a live stream about Leonardo AI, but about coding. We will get there in a second, because I want to improve my MCP server from what I started basically yesterday. I don't know. I think I like that one the best for now. Vibe coding. So well, covers should come first, right? So we should actually arrange it that way. While I am at the scratchpad, or look at that again. Obviously, currently the prompt templates still live on Notion. I thought it would be a good idea to start out with kind of like writing whatever this Hitchhiker's Guide is going to be, a book, like I don't know, some compendium, to make it really accessible for people that might not yet be familiar with Git in GitHub. But obviously it makes much more sense to version control, stuff like that in GitHub, which is already the case. Sorry, I'm jumping a bit. But if you go to Janko What the Fuck MCP hitch code, you will find the actual... Oh no, you don't. Interesting. Why didn't I include them? Oh no, sorry. It's still called MCP hitch code here. Sorry. Within this MCP hitch code directory, which is definitely, it's all right like that. I was just thrown off for a second here. And you find a templates subfolder. In the template subfolder, you find the prompt subfolder. In the prompt subfolder, you find, it's currently still organized that each prompt template category has its own folder. I might change that, because I want to get... I did that because I wanted to, have a own directory and maybe maintain a couple of concurrent versions that I can jump back to. But the typical case is that there's only going to be the most recent ones, and the other ones are will be put into a sort of an archive folder, which then obviously condenses all the files that actually make up the current state of the most recent prompt templates. And then it could probably live just right below prompts. I don't know, because each individual prompt template, this is something I changed yesterday, now carries the name in it as well. So here, change, for example, with the different versions for the general fixes, for the initialization, it's called init now, proceed, and so on, right? So here you have them. Actually, this is the one. Let's maybe not take this one as an example, just to show you two different versions here. Basically, yesterday I left off with basically see, for example, for the proceed one with version 1.0.1, which was quite uninvolved, if you will. So not a lot of text. I then took a couple of rounds, or I had a couple of rounds with 3.7 Sonnet thinking, so the new thinking track of the new 3.5 Sonnet model. And it's and I try to have a conversation of how to improve that, because what hasn't worked great for me yet is that the model actually follows the instruction as well as if I copied and pasted the prompt template content manually into Cursor. So just, you know, copy and then paste it in my Composer text window here. This works better than if you call if you apply the prompt template through MCP server tools, which is exactly what I actually want to do, right? This is where the MCP server thing actually comes in. Oh, we need to have a cover. Kind of like ADHD sometimes. I wonder if I have any ADHD, but let's follow this track first. The output, the current result, is quite involved, right? It's, if you can see, I ask it, hey, what can we change? How can we improve it? And not just in a one-shot thing. So we spend a couple of maybe an hour or so trying to improve it. And you see that the text actually grows quite large, and it's too much, if you ask me. That's just too much for a prompt template. So I'm in the middle of trying to condense it without losing stuff that I really like. So some of the stuff that 3.7 Sonnet thinking came up with this directive reinforcement and checking back, for example, relationships to, let me see if I can find the thing I'm actually looking at. So checkpoints, right? Have the model come back with checkpoints to so I can be assured that it did all that I asked it to do in the prompt template, to be more precise. So what I was where I was starting off though is, and I will probably move the templates away from Notion completely into Git and GitHub at some point. I don't know when, right? Because I want to kind of see benefits of doing it in two ways, to speak to the developers that are already developers and are familiar with Git and GitHub, and also speak to the ones that might just be starting out and might be more at home with using Notion, maybe. Okay, so that's prompt templates. We are still lacking a cool, or in my opinion, cool cover for MCP servers. So let's generate that. I think I like this one the best for services. It looks like a server room in a way. So let's arrange that, and then we get going with actually jumping into the code. Okay. Oh, one thing I at least want to try out. Let's just put the Hitch Coders guide to, let's put it all out there to the Gen AI Galaxy. It should suffice. Right, and maybe while this is rendering, today's goal, or my current goal, is to make the prompt templates, once applied through MCP server tools, more reliable, and also condensing, like finding the sweet spot between the amount of what's written in the code template and the reliability. Hitch Coders Guide to Code AI to the Gen AI Galaxy. I really like that. Hitch coders could be a bit more prominent, but let's go with that. The hitch coders guide. So here we go. Oh, sorry. Come on. Okay. And with that, we actually go into cursor, basically. Let me figure out what the best arrangement is. Let me think how much stuff do we actually know. We can actually enlarge it. We don't need mirror all the time. We can make this a bit bigger so it's more legible, hopefully. Let me check an eCam. Maybe a bit more bigger. Yeah, let's go with that. I can always minimize the left-hand side. Oh, this is not completely centered yet, is it? Oh, I'm not fully zoomed out. That's why. Okay, so let's start fresh here. I'm just gonna jump in where I left off before starting the live stream. I asked 3.7 Sonnet Thinking to kind of reduce the prompt templates or what its ideas were to reduce the prompt templates, kind of condense it down. I asked it not to do anything yet, just I want to converse with it or spar ideas with it first. Those are the proposals, right? There's lots of redundant stuff, and it suggested that we can maybe find better blocks, better sections, better logical sections, so we don't have that much of a repetition, eliminating redundancy, focusing emphasis. So instead of marking everything as critically important, which dilutes impact, true, focus on truly essential directives. I like that. Streamlining examples. We had quite a lot of examples in there, which is good and bad. I mean, right? It's good for the model to pick up on it, but it increases the amount of text that you have in there in the prompt template. And reducing formatting noise. Yeah, less all caps. Sometimes all caps still work great, unfortunately. But yeah, let's try to not do all in all caps and scream at the model. And so I just started a new conversation, a bit of fresh air, basically a fresh start, and had some ideas and wishes. I want none of my prompt templates to have any hard-coded references to other prompt templates, because the prompt templates themselves should be stateless in the sense that they are shipped through MCP server tool calls, right? There's no, they do not live in a physical, like on the file system in the code project that you're working on when you use the MCP server, as is the case still obviously in my code project, because it makes up the MCP server, if you catch my drift here or understand what I mean. And we did have some explicit hard-coded references. I want to get rid of them. And I wonder if... let me try to phrase that. I also wonder if we could align on a general set of building blocks that are consistent, that are useful in multiple prompt template types, e.g. Now I need to actually jump back again to the other convo. Stuff like, let's just put some stuff in a temp file so I don't need to jump back and forth all the time. So this one, critical constraints, that's what I mean, right? Those blocks, those sections that kind of borrow from XML markup notation, which seems to work good or quite well for LLMs. Stuff like that, right? Just to have a couple of examples here for the model. Even when 3.5 Sonnet thinks it's written or it's laid out as angle brackets think, like in an XML notation. So I think this is a good idea generally. This is something I really don't like about Composer. I want to copy this stuff one by one, or need to copy it one by one so it ends up here and is not referenced, right? It's usually good to reference it in like up here with, you know, going to the temp file, taking lines 1 through 3. But sometimes I just want it to be in the chat body, if you will. Because it just feels better. I don't know why. Let me turn down the music on my headphones. I hope it's still fine for you. Let me check. I think in the chat, fine. I can handle it. Right. These think this through step by step for all current prompt templates. Only consider version 1.1.1 and give me your assessment. No actual file changes yet, please. And off we go. I already kind of cleaned up a little bit. Oh, I need to clean up the snake game stuff as well. We are back in main, I hope. Yep. Because I'm always testing with having Claude create the snake game to test out the prompt templates work, and I do it in a separate branch. But somehow some stuff might have gotten mixed up a little bit. I actually moved the old templates to the outdated versions, basically to an archive folder. I always put the _archive in there, so it's at the very top. So in each subfolder, that's what I was hinting at in the beginning of the live stream, there's only one document with the most current version. Actually, infra is not captured because this is the newest one. It started with version 1 basically. So let's see, what is it thinking? Actually, this is what I meant, right? It stopped thinking with denoting it with closing the section. Here it kicked things off with the thinking process, and the hard-coded references to other templates across your prompt files, identified some, will change it to apply prompt proceed. Cool. And common building blocks, I've identified these potential standardized building blocks: system priority directive, template authority hierarchy. Cool. I mean, we have to test, right? It's trial and error if it's really that useful. But me as a human, as a carbon meatbag, I see value in trying it at least to distinguish different things in with clear directive headers, if you will. Primary protocol, state preservation, not to maintain state across station, addition protocol, yeah, constraints. It's a bit involved already again, but this approach will allow templates to be more maintainable. Let's see, tool invocation protocol. I like the building blocks, but also have the slight feeling that it's a bit too fine granular. Can you reason about this once more? Feel free to challenge me. If you think we need all of them. Yep, let's see. So the live stream today will not be as long. Oh, I have a lower streaming bitrate. Interesting. Have I not done my homework once more to check my streaming? It's 4K. I'm trying to stream at 4K. I might not be able to due to my internet being horribly slow here. You're right. Let me reconsider the granularity. Some of these building blocks could be consolidated while maintaining their effectiveness. So we at least only have 5 now. We used to have 5 times at least 2. So I think that's good. Consolidated building blocks, authority framework, combines priority directives and template relationships. Yeah. I'm already sensing the vibe that I like this. Speaking of vibe coding, this seems better than having all of these, right? So, but let's just read through or fly through it really quickly. Workflow protocol, analyze, plan, implement, verify, document. I like that. Compliance framework, consolidate constraints, checkpoints and verification, standardizes confirmation. Yep, I like that as well. Artifact management. Yep, cool. Cuts down the number of building blocks more than half. Yeah, awesome. So each building block serves. This is consolidated. Yep. Liking this much more. Please go ahead and voice type and implement all the changes regarding the references and the building blocks in all the prompt templates. Oh God, I have Wortfindungsstörungen, as you would say in German. Problems in finding the right words. Go ahead and implement all the changes regarding the references, the reference stuff. It should be able to figure it out. And the building blocks and all the prompt templates. All right, I'll freestyle this. I'll wing this. Usually I would tend now to follow my own, eat my own dog food. Like create a game plan first for this. But this seems like a change that doesn't that we don't need the full-fledged prompt template system here yet. This might bite me in the butt in like 2 minutes, but let's just go for it. One thing, please also consider infra, which is new, which is the newest and still on version 1.1. In fact, you can simply consider, modify all templates currently located at prompts except the ones in archive, prompts archive. Sometimes the negative prompts don't seem to work as well for me, but let's see if what it does with it. So everything should still work or go the way it should in the live stream, I hope. Yeah, I'm only going to probably need to stop at shortly after 10:30, so like 10-15 minutes. But it's kind of cool. I mean, I need to do this stuff anyways, and it kind of is more fun to actually live stream about it, because I have this remote sense of feeling of being connected to someone out there. And I also I like people that, what I call build out loud, build out in public. I mean, this is not something that fancy yet, right? It's just an MCP server, but I'm all about trying to come up with the right building blocks that I need for my coding game, for the business that will be built on top of this. And yeah, so I try to build out loud more. I think that's what I want to say. Okay, this is interesting. That 29th does not exist, and not in this year. And I stumbled over this yesterday because there's an implicit date checking that's happening when with my template loader. And so, yeah, but let's tackle this after we actually artifact management. All right, so this is vibe coding at its best. I'm just accepting it. Accept this. It's ticking up the version, which I like. It's the 28th still. So that's for that. We are in the middle of updating the proceed one. Also ticking up the version digit. Nice. Change the date here as well. Can actually clean up a little bit here. And we are dealing with the change one. Maybe let's show you so you can form a mental model or mental picture. And that's always very important for me. If I cannot imagine what's actually going on, I have the feeling of being lost, or being, you know, there's then too many moving parts that I cannot form a coherent picture out of. So we are tweaking this one, and it's actually what I obviously don't like about it. It's changing the version inside the file, but it's not updating the outside version. I know what I don't know, Git fanatics might say it should be, eventually you should only have probably change.md and, you know, have Git and the version control you apply through Git handle the different versions. Yeah, fine. But reality is not that easy for me, or not that black or white. So I do sometimes like to keep different versions of my files at the same time, but with different naming, obviously. So that's for that. We are moving to the general fix, or the prompt template for general fixes. And moving to the ones for linter errors, which is a bit special. I'm not sure if this is still web. No, it's not doing a web search anymore. It doesn't have a directive of doing web searches anymore. In my original ones, I instructed the model to, for linter errors, in my, like 80% of linter errors usually stem from the fact that the LLM has an outdated knowledge about the package at hand, the interface, if you will, of a certain client package, Python package, however you want to, what makes the most sense. For example, Pydantic or SQL model or Llama index is probably the best example, because Llama index and LangChain and stuff like that moved so quickly after like 2023, 2024. I don't even know where the current knowledge cutoff is for the frontier models, but I think sometime around late 24, I hope, at least, for the new ones. And sometimes the pace of changes in Llama index Python packages is just too much, right? For the models to follow. Sorry, let me actually get back into linter. We already got that. We are in the test one, sure. And so for that, or when this happens, then I usually fired a web search, right? Which you can do in Cursor with @web, and then I would just say make sure you take note of the most recent dev docs for Llama. I think it's written like that for the official like PyPy name of Llama index. And I try to incorporate that as well into my fixed linter prompt template, but code Claude 3.5 Sonnet thinking in while trying to improve it, I think kind of kicked it out. I don't want to deal with that though now. I want to kind of move through testing stuff once before having to call it not a day, but call it a live stream basically in a couple of minutes. And I think this is all the templates that we needed to tackle. All right, cool. So come up with a good git commit message. Sometimes I get lost in where's that actually coming from. Here, it's coming from there. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't really have to bother Sonnet thinking for that, but it thinks through the git commit message. What I really like, because Pieces, I don't know if you're familiar with Pieces. I still don't completely get what it is, but they had a video out kind of highlighting that it was possible to change models midway through a convo. And I was going, well, isn't that normal now? And Cursor definitely supports that, right? So at any time in your conversation, you can switch from Sonnet thinking back to 3.5 Sonnet or 3.7 Sonnet or 3.5 Sonnet or whatever model you want to use. So let's get that out of the way. It's actually also push. And then let's try things out once, and then I probably have to call it a live stream. We are building our server through Docker Compose. As I mentioned yesterday, I really love Docker Compose. I love for providers or platforms like Heroku, Railway, Fly, whatever, to also support a Docker Compose based deployment mechanism, because that's, at least I'm too stupid to figure it out. I always, you need to fall back to only the Docker file, which also already adds a lot of, or takes away lots of pain. But I like the orchestration effect of stating everything, all your different, services in just one file. To be fair, databases, for example, are typically handled quite differently. While I would have for example, a Postgres database running and configure it through my Docker Compose file. On Railway, it's usually they're different templates. It's kind of like they live in a different space of the tech stack, and are thus not governed through Docker files, or let alone Docker Compose files. Anyways, if that didn't make sense, just forget about it. We will get into that at some deployment live stream, which will be painful. I already know that. So let's actually start a complete new conversation with Command N. And before we actually try out anything, let's refresh our Hitchcode server. This, I think, is mandatory for the new changes to take effect. You don't need to restart Cursor, but you should, I think, and you probably need to refresh it. It's not happening magically. So, okay, and since I don't want to pollute my my current main branch here, I do have a snake branch, but I want to delete it first because it's just a throwaway branch, if you will. So I would call git branch with a big fat D and delete the snake branch. Then I would check out to a new version of that branch. Then I would go into here and say, and this one I'll borrow from my little test prompt. Copy the entire thing that I use. We don't use thinking for that, just the 3.5 Sonnet regular one. And now what should happen is that it should immediately call our init template, which I reframed all the functions from get prompt something to apply prompt something, because it's just made more sense to me. And here we see that we definitely are using the most recent version because it starts with authority framework. And you can see how it responds, right? That's what I said in the beginning. I like that 3.5 Sonnet thinking. I need to find a shorter name for that. I added some confirmation stuff, right? The model reporting back and confirming. And one thing that it should do now, and it does, is to create a game plan, and the game plan needs a timestamp. And a timestamp, yesterday I still had the prompt template framed in a way that it would ask me and I need to type in the timestamp. Now I changed it to, hey, use a terminal command, and because you don't actually know what time it is, but you can ask through the terminal, through a command, and it gets the current time. It tries to make the directory game plans. Obviously, this already exists, but it will now create the game plan file. Cool. Up till here, it's looking much better than yesterday, for example. But the crucial part is if it stops and asks for, hey, can I go ahead with implementing stage 1 of that game plan? It's structured with checkboxes, which I like. Yeah, and that's still something that's still a breaking change or not according to plan. I wanted to stop and say, hey, do you want to proceed, right? So it's not, unfortunately, we're still not there, but it's perfect timing. I need to call it a live stream at this point. I will probably get back into it later after my call now and focus on this explicit thing. In the meantime, you can already have a look at the repo, which I just updated with the most recent changes, and just have a look, play around with it. I'm not that good with handling PR requests, but if you want to, jump in and co-develop this and bring in own ideas, I'm always open for that. We just need to find the right ways of operationalizing that. And yeah, with that, maybe as a final remark, I will probably put stuff on Miro as well. So it's a mix between Notion, Miro, and GitHub, probably, of how I want to distribute stuff that I work on and talk about. And yeah, hope you liked this one, and hope to catch you in the next one, either live stream or once I find a time actually also to consolidate my thinking into a video of like 15 to 20 to 30 minutes at most, scripted possibly. Maybe that will happen. Then yeah, I'd also be more than happy to see you there. Bye. Peace.